Good afternoon. This is Hal Mendelson, retired librarian from University of Central Florida, Orlando, Florida. I'm here to interview SELA past president Camille McCutcheon, who served in office the SELA presidency from 2014 to 2016. Welcome, Camille, and thank you for your willingness to be interviewed today.
Thank you for having me, Hal. I'm glad to be here.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. My first question is this. Discuss your background in libraries.
Certainly. Well, I've worked as a librarian for about 25 years, and I received a joint master's degree in English and Library and Information Science from the University of South Carolina, Columbia, a number of years ago. And I also received a certificate of advanced graduate study in Library and Information Science. And essentially that was like 18 hours above the master's degree. And I did that because I wanted, to take more classes before I entered the library profession. So my background is really in academic libraries. My first job was at a private women's college named Converse College here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I worked there for a little over 2 years, and my main responsibility was working the reference desk. So after I left there, I kind of progressed to a larger environment, and I got a job at the University of South Carolina, Spartanburg, which is now called the University of South Carolina Upstate. So I've been here ever since 1998, and I am tenured, and I hold the rank of librarian, which is the equivalent of the rank of professor. And I was hired as a public service librarian to work in the reference area. I worked the reference desk, I taught instruction sessions, I served as liaison for a lot of different disciplines, and I also worked in collection development. So my main responsibility now is my job title is I'm coordinator of collection management and and administrative services. So there are really two parts to this job. I've been coordinator of collection management since 2009, and that's what I spend most of my time doing, and I love it. And the administrative services just simply means that in the organizational chart, I am right below the dean of the library. So I'm essentially in charge when she's away. So prior to becoming coordinator of collection management, I served for many years as coordinator of information literacy and library instruction. And I also served as coordinator of faculty and staff outreach. So that's really my background in libraries.
It sounds like you've had a very diverse background. You've done a good majority of the type of positions that, in this case, an academic librarian offers. So you've had your hands in a lot of the different areas.
Well, I have, but it's good to have a very broad information base because it helps in making decisions and in just doing what's best for the library. So you just keep learning with every position that you have. I work closely with the technical services department. So I just, and I guess in my job, just to give you a few more specifics, I am over the periodical subscriptions, the database subscriptions, the license agreements, the continuations. I'm over the materials budget for the library, and I still also have a lot of liaison areas that I purchase for. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of the job is purchasing materials for the library and what will best suit to support the curriculum. And one of my very favorite parts of this job, and I'll end on this, is I oversee the juvenile collection in the library. We have a school of education, and I've been working with this collection for about 20 years, and it consists of award-winning titles And that's real. I just love working with that collection. It's one of my favorite parts of the job.
So you found your niche doing all these different things, but if you could, you'd be that young librarian position or field or
Yes, yes, I
absolutely.
really enjoy it.
Okay. All right. Question number 2. Describe your history with SELA, such as your first involvement, positions held, and other services.
Certainly. I've held a lot of different positions in SELA. Um, I became a member in 2000, and my first involvement was at the 2000 conference, which was a joint conference between, I think it was Georgia Como, I think that's what it was called then, um, and SELA, and that was held at Jekyll Island. And I actually gave a presentation at that conference, and I didn't, that's the first I had ever heard of SELA. Was I saw this this announcement that went out that was looking for, you know, a call for conference proposals. So I went to the conference, and there was a and I was at that time I was coordinator of library instruction, so I was gravitating toward those programs about library instruction. And so I went to the business meeting for the SELA Library Instruction Roundtable, and I was elected vice chair. And so that was my very first foray into SELA. So as I said, I've served a lot of different you know, in a lot of different positions. I've served as chair of the Library Instruction Roundtable. I have chaired the college and university section, the school and children's librarians section. I've served as state representative for South Carolina. I've chaired or co-chaired the Intellectual Freedom Committee, the Planning Committee, the Conference Committee, the Nominating Committee. I've served as secretary, and then president. And then currently, I am the archivist for SELA, and I chair the SELA Centennial Committee, the Honorary Membership Committee, and the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. And I've actually been to every single conference since Jekyll Island, except for one, and it was the Memphis conference. That was the 2006 conference with Tennessee, and it turned out that I was chair of the Intellectual Freedom Committee during that time, and there was this workshop that ALA was sponsoring in Chicago, and Judith Gibbons, who was the president at the time, she wanted me to go to that workshop to represent SELA. So I went to the workshop in lieu of going to the conference, which actually took place in the same week. But I loved all the SELA conferences that I've ever attended. And I guess one other part of my involvement with SELA, I served as a reviewer of manuscripts for the Southeastern Librarian for a number of years, like 9 years. And then I've been on the editorial board for the journal since 2011.
Who told you about SELA? How did you find? You said you heard about, but who?
Well, no one really told me. I don't remember exactly how it happened. It was probably like a listserv notice of a conference, you know, when conferences are looking for people to submit program proposals. That's how I really found out about SELA. So I decided to submit a topic which actually was about library tutorials, and my program got accepted, and I came to the conference. So, and I've been involved ever since.
And listening to your response to this question, you really have been involved in so many different aspects of SELA and just the functioning of it. So you've been very, very involved.
Well, you know, I think when you become president of an association, you need to have a broad base, and it helps you understand all the different inner workings of an association. So I think serving in these different ways, committee chair, section chair, I've served on the SELA board for many, many years consecutively. It helps to give an understanding of just the organization of as a whole, and how members respond, and how they work within the association.
And the other thing too is, by being so involved, you know how it works. But I was going to say, the nice thing about SELA is it allows you to be involved in almost anything you want, and you're a good example of being involved in lots of activities.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. It's very important. It
Yeah.
really is.
All right. Question number 3. Talk about your time as president of SELA. For instance, could you share any major accomplishments, initiatives, or challenges you faced while president?
Certainly. Well, we did hold 2 joint conferences during the time I was president. The first one was in 2015. It was a joint conference with the Alabama Association, and that was held in Point Clear, Alabama. And that was the first time we had been to Alabama, to hold a joint conference in many years. So that was very exciting. The next year, 2016, we were in Athens, Georgia, and it was a joint conference with Georgia Como. So those are the 2 conferences that took place while I was president. And some of the accomplishments, I'm really very, very proud of this. During the summer of 2015, the Louisiana Library Association became an active SELA chapter once again after a number of years. And I'm really, really proud of that. And then during the fall of 2016, we had a number of inactive state chapters while I was president, and that had, held true for a number of years. The inactive state chapters of Arkansas, Florida, and Virginia elected representatives to serve on the SELA board. So I'm very pleased that everyone in the Southeastern region had a voice on the SELA board. I think that's very, very important. We also developed a web page for the SELA state representatives, and we created a job description for the state representatives that was approved by the SELA board. And why this was so important is, really, when you're transitioning from one state representative to another, or one state is looking for someone to serve in that capacity, it's really good to be able to share what the job responsibilities are. So before a job description was actually created, people knew what SELA reps did, but it wasn't written down. So we formalized that. Other accomplishments during the time I was president, the SELA website was redesigned and launched. And so how the SELA website looks now was the new redesign. We decided to make membership in SELA required in order for people to view the current year of the Southeastern Librarian. We felt like this was a big membership benefit for people who wanted to see the current year of the journal needed to be a current member. So we thought that was really important, and that was a board initiative. We updated the Constitution and Handbook. The SELA board approved updates. We also created conference guidelines between SELA and the state associations when deciding to have a joint conference. And the SELA Online Search Librarians Roundtable, which is quite a mouthful, was changed to the SELA Electronic Resources Roundtable, and that's how it's still known. We also created an email address for SELA Administrative Services, and we created a Twitter account as well. So those are some of the highlights during the time that I was president that I'm very, very proud of.
a lot of those activities, a lot of those changes are still in place. So
Yes, they are.
they really
Yes,
do. The SELA became, we'll say, they modernized a lot of their functions or what we take for granted, like with web pages. And I bet you before you became president, you had no idea all the work that's involved.
that is correct. You learn by doing, and you learn as you go, and you ask a lot of questions.
Very good. All
And
right.
I had wonderful mentors as well within the association.
Yes. When I was a member, the people who I would ask for assistance, just like you're talking about now, is that they were always there to help you. Whatever guidance one needed, they said, "Sure, I'll help you." And that's the wonderful part of SELA. There's always somebody there who's
Absolutely.
very good. Okay, as you gaze into your crystal ball, what advice do you have for SELA to remain relevant during the next 10, 25, or 50 years?
I think we need to continue emphasizing the importance of a regional library association. There are many benefits, and we actually touched on a few earlier during the interview. Um, Membership in SELA is affordable, and for a lot of people, it's more affordable than a national library association. It's also easier to become involved, which we talked about a little bit earlier. And it gives you so many opportunities to get involved. The conferences are tremendous. And one of the benefits of the conferences is that as a regional association, we are serving essentially the same type of people. And I mean, as far as economics go, we usually have similar funding issues with our universities and our libraries. So when you go to these conferences, these programs are really applicable to your own situation. In contrast, sometimes when you go to a national conference, you go to these programs and they sound wonderful about maybe initiatives that other larger libraries have been able to do. But in many cases, larger libraries have more funding and more staff in order to successfully launch and keep these programs running. And sometimes for us, it's just pie in the sky because we just don't have the staff to do that. And I think that there's such a common ground with other librarians dealing with similar situations in the region. So I think the conferences are really, really important. The programming has just been outstanding, just in such a consistent way through the years of the different conferences I've attended. So in a lot of ways, it's just more relevant. One of the other major points about regional conferences is the networking that librarians can do. Not only are they your professional colleagues, they're also your friends. So there are just so many ways that regional library associations like SELA are so important, and we need to be communicating this, reminding our members of this, but many of them know this already, and also educating non-members and potential members about what we can offer them. So that's what I see as advice to SELA, to just keep communicating our importance.
Right, that's important. And as you found out, by people finding out about it, they find out the benefits of SELA. So in 10, 20, 30 years from now, if those same messages are communicated, SELA, you feel, will be fine and will change with the times. Very
Right.
good. Okay, last question, Camille. Do you have any other comments or stories about SELA that you would like to share?
Well, I just want to say happy anniversary to SELA, and as an archivist or serving as SELA archivist, I am just thrilled that I am helping highlight our rich history and the achievements of our members who have worked so diligently through the decades on behalf of the association. And I hope that our contributions will continue to help SELA grow and prosper.
Well, if as the quality of the presidents that they've had so far and the ones that will be in the future, I'm sure with the good quality individuals who are part of SELA, I think we will continue for those next 100 years as you have talked about.
So many happy returns to SELA.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Camille. This was wonderful interviewing you. We appreciate it, and we're glad you're able to be participating in this part of the Centennial celebration. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you, Hal, for letting me allowing me to participate in this special occasion in SELA's history.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Camille.
Thank you, Hal.